Fleet Commander Krathul stood at the center of the bridge, aboard the Imperial warship Endless Victory, his eyes fixed on the enormous holographic projection suspended before him. Earth rotated silently in the darkness, a vibrant sphere of blue oceans, emerald continents, and swirling white clouds, beautiful in its innocence, and completely unaware of the armada closing in around it. Across the bridge, officers moved with practiced precision, their multiple forearms dancing over glowing control panels as tactical reports streamed across the displays. The air carried the sharp scent of ozone from overworked systems, mixed with the quiet confidence of a military that had forgotten what defeat felt like. The Zenithii Imperium had spent thousands of years expanding across the stars, bringing 847 star systems beneath its banner. To Krathul, Earth was not a mystery, nor a threat. It was simply destined to become conquest number 848. For 3,000 years, they had never lost a battle. Their military tactics were perfect. Their weapons were the best in the galaxy. Their shields could stop anything. Every species that met them either surrendered or died. Earth would be no different. The scans were clear. These humans had barely reached their own moon. They used primitive rockets that burned chemicals for fuel. Their weapons were simple bullets and explosives. They had no energy shields. They had no plasma weapons. They did not even have a single unified government. "How many warships for this invasion?" asked Sub-Commander Vareth, his youngest officer. The young Zenati's scales were still bright green, showing his inexperience. Krathul clicked his mandibles in amusement. 500 ships. Vareth's eyes widened. "Commander, we used only 200 ships to conquer the Krellin Empire. They had shield technology and fusion weapons. These humans have nothing. Why send 500? The commander turned to face his young officer. "This is a training mission. New officers like you need practice. This conquest will be easy and safe. Consider it a lesson in proper invasion procedure." The bridge erupted in clicking laughter. 500 warships for a planet that could barely leave its atmosphere. It was like bringing a battle fleet to fight children with sticks. Intelligence Officer Marillac approached with a data crystal. He inserted it into the command console. Images appeared in the air above them. Humans in their cities. Humans fighting small wars against each other, with primitive tanks and aircraft. Humans launching their clumsy chemical rockets toward their moon. The humans are divided into nearly 200 separate nations. Rail reported they cannot agree on anything. They fight each other constantly. They have no space defense system. Their most powerful weapons are nuclear missiles. But these are ancient technology, simple to deflect. Krathul nodded. What about their military capability? Laughable. Relax said. Their fastest aircraft cannot break 3 times the speed of sound. Their warships float on water like toys. Their ground forces use gunpowder weapons that would not scratch our armor. They have detected nothing of our scout probes. They are blind and deaf to our presence. The commander pulled up another display. It showed human entertainment broadcasts, movies about space battles and alien invasions. He had watched several during the journey. They were amusing. The humans imagine themselves as heroes, defeating vast alien empires with courage and determination. In their stories, they always won. They make fantasy films about defeating invaders. Krathul said they dream of being warriors among the stars. How sad that reality will be so different. Vareth studied the human cities on the display. Millions of structures, billions of lives, all unaware of what was coming, all unprepared. He felt almost sorry for them, almost. "When do we begin the invasion?" Vareth asked. "In 3 standard cycles," the commander replied. "We exit hyperspace at the edge of their solar system. We broadcast the standard surrender demand. When they refuse, as they always do, we destroy their military forces. Then we occupy their world. Simple, clean, educational. The fleet prepared. 500 massive warships, each one capable of destroying a city with a single shot. Each one protected by energy shields that could stop a nuclear explosion. Each one carrying enough firepower to conquer a continent. Together they were unstoppable, or so they believed. The hyperspace engines powered up. Reality bent and twisted around the fleet. Stars stretched into lines. Space itself seemed to scream as the Zenithii Imperium forced their way through it. They were coming to Earth. They expected glory. They expected an easy victory. They expected to add another world to their empire. 3 cycles passed. The fleet emerged from hyperspace at the outer edge of Earth's solar system. The giant gas planet Jupiter was visible behind them. Ahead, the small blue world of Earth hung in the darkness, so far away, so unaware, so helpless. Krazul activated the translation system. He had practiced this speech many times. Every conquered species heard it. Every species eventually understood its truth. Humans of Earth, you have been discovered by the Xanathi Imperium. Your world is now claimed by the Emperor. You will surrender immediately and accept Imperial rule. You have no choice. Resistance will result in the destruction of your civilization. You have 24 standard time units to respond. The message was broadcast on all frequencies: radio, laser, quantum channels. Every human communication device on Earth would receive it. The Zenith waited for the response. They expected panic. They expected desperate pleas for mercy. They expected immediate surrender from the more intelligent human leaders. 8 minutes passed, then a response came, a simple audio transmission, a human voice, speaking calmly in their primitive language. The translator converted it to Zenith. You have 24 hours to leave our system. That was all. 6 words. No explanation. No fear. No begging. Just a simple warning. The bridge fell silent for a moment. Then Krazul began to laugh. His officers joined him. The laughter echoed through the ship. 24 hours to leave. These primitive apes were ordering the Xanathi Imperium to retreat. It was the funniest thing he had heard in decades. Courage or stupidity? Farath asked, still chuckling. Stupidity? Krathul replied. But we will honor their request. We will wait 24 hours. Let them use that time to pray to whatever gods they believe in. Then we will show them what real power looks like. The countdown began. 24 hours. The Xanathi fleet hung at the edge of the solar system, waiting. Their weapons were ready. Their shields were up. Their confidence was absolute. They had conquered 847 worlds. Earth would be 848. They had no idea they were about to become a warning to the galaxy. They had no idea that Earth had been preparing for this moment. They had no idea that humanity's greatest strength was not courage or technology, but something far more dangerous. Humanity knew how to prepare for the worst. And when humans prepared for war, they did not prepare to fight fair. They prepared to win, at any cost, by any means, with every weapon they could imagine. And humans had very creative imaginations. The 24-hour deadline was counting down. The Xanathi waited confidently in the darkness of space. Far away on Earth, and throughout the solar system, warning lights began to flash. Weapons systems that had been hidden for 18 months came online. Humanity was about to teach the Xanathi Imperium a lesson they would never forget, assuming any of them survived to remember it. 18 months earlier, deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, a human mining vessel named the Prosperity had discovered something impossible. A small metallic object barely larger than a basketball drifting between the rocks. It was not human technology. It was not natural. It was a probe, an alien probe. The crew brought it aboard carefully. They scanned it with every instrument they had. The probe was dead, its power source exhausted, but its memory systems were intact. When human scientists finally cracked its data storage, they found star maps, navigation logs, sensor readings of Earth, and most importantly, they found a destination. A fleet was coming. Within 6 hours, every major government on Earth knew about the probe. Within 12 hours, the United Nations held an emergency session. Within 24 hours, something unprecedented happened. Every nation on Earth agreed they would prepare together. For the first time in human history, there were no borders, no enemies, no competitions, just one species facing one threat. The wars stopped. The arguments ended. Every resource, every scientist, every factory, every brilliant mind on Earth had one mission: survival. General Sarah Chen stood in the command center, deep beneath Cheyenne Mountain. Around her, screens displayed data from around the world and throughout the solar system. She had not slept more than 4 hours a night for 18 months. None of them had. There was too much work, too little time. "Status report," she said to the room. "Project Hammer is ready," replied Colonel Jackson. 140 railgun platforms hidden in the asteroid belt. Each one can accelerate a solid tungsten rod to 0.3 light speed. Travel time to the edge of the solar system is 3 months. We fired them 90 days ago, aimed at the coordinates where their fleet should emerge. Chen nodded. The railgun platforms had been humanity's first project. Simple physics. Accelerate a dense metal rod to relativistic speeds and let kinetic energy do the rest. No explosives needed. At 30% light speed, a telephone pole-sized piece of tungsten hit, with the force of a nuclear weapon, and they had fired thousands of them. "Project Ghost?" she asked. "All quantum missiles are in position," said Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of the physics division. "We solved the entanglement problem. The missiles exist in a superposition state until the moment of impact. Their sensors will not detect them until it is too late. No shield can stop something that is not there until it arrives." That project had been harder. Quantum mechanics was tricky. Making a weapon phase in and out of reality required new physics. But humanity had thousands of research teams working on the same problems from different angles. When one team hit a wall, another found a way around it. Competition and cooperation together. Chaos that somehow worked. "Project Sundiver?" Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. This was the big one. The weapon they hoped they would never have to use. "Operational," said Dr. James Morrison, his voice tired but proud. "We have 3 orbital arrays positioned between Earth and the Sun. Each array contains 10,000 mirror satellites. They can focus and redirect solar radiation into concentrated beams. Think of them as giant magnifying glasses. But instead of burning ants, they can vaporize spaceships." The idea had come from a science fiction novel. Someone on the research team had read it and thought, why not? The sun produced more energy every second than humanity had used in its entire history. Why build power sources when they could just borrow the sun? The engineering challenges had been enormous. The results were terrifying. "What about the nukes?" Chen asked. "Still in their silos," replied Admiral Thompson. "We decided not to deploy them in space. According to the probe data, these aliens can deflect nuclear missiles, so we will keep them as a last resort for ground defense. If they land, which they will not." Chen looked at the orbital display. The solar system was covered in weapons. Hidden platforms in the asteroid belt, satellites around Mars, stations on the moons of Jupiter, defense grids throughout Earth orbit. Every nation had contributed. The Americans had built railguns. The Russians had developed quantum missiles. The Chinese had engineered the solar arrays. The Europeans, Africans, Asians, everyone had added something. 18 months of every human working together, General said, a technician at a monitoring station. "We are detecting a large spatial distortion at grid reference Zeta 9, edge of the solar system near Jupiter." The room went silent. This was it. 18 months of preparation. 18 months of united human effort. 18 months of hoping they were ready. Now they would find out how many ships? Chen asked calmly. "Counting now. Initial estimate is 500 vessels. Large capital ships. They are broadcasting on multiple frequencies." The alien message came through. The translation software decoded it. A demand for surrender. A claim of inevitable conquest. A threat of destruction. The same message conquerors had been giving to victims for thousands of years. The same arrogant certainty of victory. Chen smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had prepared for the worst and was about to show it. "Send our response," she said. The communications officer typed quickly. 6 words. Simple, clear, final. "You have 24 hours to leave our system." Chen watched the alien fleet on the display. 500 ships. It looked impressive. Once upon a time, it would have been impossible to fight. But humans had learned something important over their long, violent history. When facing a stronger enemy, do not fight fair. Fight smart. Fight dirty. Use every advantage. Prepare for everything. "Begin countdown," Chen ordered. "All weapons stay hidden. Let them think we are helpless. Let them be confident. In 24 hours, we show them what humanity does to invaders." Across the solar system, human operators sat at their stations. In the asteroid belt, railgun crews waited beside their weapons. Around Mars, quantum missile teams checked their systems. Near the Sun, the solar array controllers monitored their mirrors. And on Earth, in bunkers and command centers and military bases around the world, people watched and waited. The aliens had made 3 mistakes. First, they assumed humanity was primitive because they used primitive tools. But humanity had better tools. They just had not needed them until now. Second, the aliens assumed human division was weakness, but human competition had made them creative. Every nation wanted to contribute the best weapon. Every scientist wanted to solve the hardest problem. Division had made them strong. Third, and most important, the aliens assumed this would be easy. Nothing about humanity was easy. Humans had been fighting each other for 10,000 years. They knew every trick, every tactic, every dirty move. They had written books about war. They made movies about war. They studied war like it was art. And now they had a common enemy. For the Xanathi, this was supposed to be a training exercise. For humanity, this was survival. And when humans fought for survival, they did not fight fair. They fought to win, no matter the cost. "All stations report ready," said the communications officer. Chen looked at the countdown clock. 23 hours and 58 minutes remaining. She thought about the aliens out there, laughing at humanity's warning. She thought about their confidence, their certainty of victory. She almost felt sorry for them. Almost. "Good," she said quietly. "Now we wait." The 24-hour deadline expired at exactly Oro 600 hours Universal Time. Krathazul had enjoyed a good meal and a full rest cycle. He felt refreshed, ready. This would be quick and educational. His junior officers were excited. Their first conquest. What a way to begin their military careers. "All ships advance to attack formation," he ordered. "Shields at maximum. Weapons ready. Target their military installations first, cities second. We want survivors to rule over." After all, the 500 Xanathi warships moved forward as one. Perfect formation, perfect discipline, engines burning bright in the darkness. They had traveled this path 847 times before. Today would be no different. From Earth, a transmission. The same human voice as before. Still calm, still without fear. "We warned you. Engaging defensive protocols." Defensive protocols. Kazul almost laughed again. What defenses? The humans had nothing in space except satellites for communication and observation. Nothing that could hurt a Xanathi warship. Nothing that could even scratch their shields. Then the threat alarm screamed. Every sensor on every ship detected them at the same moment. Thousands of objects moving at impossible speeds, coming from everywhere. From the asteroid belt, from Mars' orbit, from Jupiter's moons, from the darkness between the planets. The tactical display lit up like a festival celebration. "Incoming projectiles," shouted the weapons officer. Velocity reading 28 light speed. Impact in 12 seconds. 28 light speed. That was impossible. These humans could barely reach their moon. How were they accelerating solid objects to nearly 1/3 the speed of light? There was no time to wonder. No time to think. "Activate point defense," Kathazul ordered. "All ships, evasive maneuvers." The point defense systems opened fire. Thousands of laser beams lanced out into space trying to destroy the incoming projectiles. Some hit. Some of the human weapons exploded into fragments, but there were too many, and they were moving too fast. 12 seconds. 11. 10. Kazul saw the first impact on his display. A Xanathi destroyer shields at maximum power. The human projectile hit at dead center. The shield flared bright for one instant. Then it failed. The shield was designed to stop energy weapons, plasma bolts, particle beams, laser fire. It was not designed to stop solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The tungsten rod punched through the shield like it was not there. It hit the ship's armor. The kinetic energy was so enormous that the armor simply vaporized on contact. The rod continued through the ship, through decks and bulkheads and crew and engines. It came out the other side. The ship exploded, not from the impact itself, but from its own reactors failing catastrophically. A brief bright flash, then nothing. The destroyer was gone, and that was just one projectile. Thousands more arrived in the next 10 seconds. Ships exploded across the fleet. Cruisers, destroyers, even battleships. The shields did nothing. The armor did nothing. Solid tungsten moving at point 3. Lightspeed did not care about defenses. It just hit and kept hitting. The Xanathi formation broke apart as ships tried desperately to dodge. But the human weapons had been fired months ago. They had been aimed at where the Xanathi would be, not where they were. The humans had calculated everything perfectly. In the first 12 seconds, 143 Xanathi warships were destroyed. "Return fire," Krathul screamed. "All weapons fire at the planet. Destroy them." The surviving ships opened fire. Plasma cannons, particle beams, missile batteries. Enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. The weapons streaked toward Earth. This would hurt the humans. This would teach them. This would end it. Then the weapons simply vanished. All of them just gone. Disappeared as if they had never existed. What? Murak stared at his console. That is impossible. Our weapons just ceased to exist. No explosion, no deflection. They just stopped being there. The threat alarms screamed again. A new wave of contacts. But these were different. The sensors could not get a solid lock on them. They appeared and disappeared, flickered in and out of existence. Thousands of them moving toward the fleet. Quantum signatures detected, said Morlock, his voice shaking now. These humans have weaponized quantum mechanics. The missiles exist in superposition until impact. Our sensors cannot track them. Our shields cannot stop them because they are not fully in normal space until the moment they hit. The quantum missiles struck. They did not appear on sensors until they were already inside the shields, already touching the hull. Then they exploded. Not with fire or plasma, but with directed matter-antimatter reactions. Small yields, precise surgical. Each missile was designed to destroy specific ship systems, engines, weapons, life support, command decks. More ships died. Cruisers lost their engines and drifted helplessly. Destroyers lost their weapons and shields. Battleships lost their command decks, leaving them blind and deaf. The Zenithy formation was not just breaking apart now, it was disintegrating. 90 seconds into the battle, and they had lost more than half their fleet. Retreat, Krazel ordered. All ships, emergency hyperspace jump. Get us out of here. The surviving ships tried to activate their hyperspace drives, tried to escape, but the quantum missiles had been thorough. Drive systems were damaged. Navigation computers were destroyed. And even the ships that still had working drives needed time to charge them, time they did not have from Earth. A new energy signature, massive, growing. The sensors showed something forming between the fleet and the sun. A structure. No, thousands of structures. Satellites, mirrors. All orienting toward the sun, all focusing on the fleet. Energy spike detected, Muralak whispered. Solar radiation being concentrated by the gods. They have weaponized their star. 3 massive beams of concentrated solar radiation lanced across the solar system. Each beam was a cylinder of pure destructive energy, carrying more power than all of the Xanathi fleet weapons combined. The mirrors focused sunlight into weapons that could melt planets. And right now, they were aimed at the remaining Xanathi ships. The beams hit. Ships did not just explode. They did not just break apart. They vaporized. Atoms were stripped from atoms. Matter was converted to energy. The shields flared and failed instantly. The armor lasted less than a second. Then there was nothing but expanding clouds of plasma. The solar beams swept through the fleet like searchlights through fog. Krathel watched ships die. His fleet, his proud, unstoppable fleet gone. Just gone in 7 minutes. 847 worlds conquered over 3,000 years. And now destroyed by a species that was supposed to be primitive, helpless, easy. The endless victories engines were damaged. Life support was failing. Weapons were offline. They were crippled, dead in space. Around them, the last few Xanathi ships drifted as debris. Some were intact but powerless. Most were nothing but wreckage. 498 ships destroyed. Only 2 survived. The flagship and 1 escort, both crippled. A new transmission from Earth. The same calm voice. You have 1 ship capable of hyperspace jump. We are transferring power to your escort vessel now. You will return to your Imperium. You will tell them what happened here. You will warn them that Earth is defended. If you ever return, we will not be this merciful. Merciful? This was mercy? Kriazul looked at the casualty reports. 94,000 crew dead. 498 ships destroyed. His fleet annihilated in 7.5 minutes. And the humans called this mercy. Then he understood. The humans could have killed them all. Every ship, every crew member. They had the weapons. They had shown that clearly. But they deliberately left survivors. They wanted witnesses. They wanted someone to carry the message back. This was not mercy. This was psychological warfare. Humans did not just defeat you. They made sure you remembered it. They made sure everyone else knew about it too. The escort vessel's engines came back online. Human power transmission. The humans were giving them the energy to escape, giving them permission to run away. The shame of it was worse than death would have been. Transfer the surviving crew to the escort, Krathazul ordered quietly. Prepare for hyperspace jump. We are going home. No one spoke as they prepared to leave. No one met each other's eyes. They had come here expecting an easy victory, a training exercise, a celebration. Instead, they had found something that would haunt them forever. They had found humans. And humans, it turned out, were not prey. They were not victims waiting to be conquered. They were predators, and Earth was their territory. The journey back to Xanathi space took 8 months. 8 months of silence, 8 months of shame, 8 months of trying to understand what had happened. Krathul spent most of that time reviewing the battle recordings, watching his fleet die, watching again and again, trying to find answers. The escort ship was crowded. They had rescued 412 crew members from the wreckage. Out of 94,000, the survivors were traumatized. Some refused to eat. Some refused to sleep. Some just stared at the walls and said nothing. They had been the elite warriors of the Xanathi Imperium. Now they were broken. Varith, the young officer who had been so excited about his first conquest, sat in the corner of the command deck. He had not spoken in 3 months. His bright green scales had turned gray. His eyes were empty. He had watched his friends die, his mentors, his entire future. Krathul sent regular reports back to the Imperium as they traveled. Detailed accounts of the battle, technical data on human weapons, casualty lists. Each time the response was the same. The Imperial War Council did not believe him. They thought he was lying, making excuses, trying to hide some failure of leadership. How could they believe it? 500 warships destroyed in 7 minutes by a species that should have been primitive. It sounded insane. It sounded like a bad excuse from a coward. But Krathul had the recordings. He had the data. He had the survivors. And soon the War Council would have to face the truth. They finally arrived at the Xanathi homeworld, the beautiful blue and purple planet where the Imperium had begun 3,000 years ago. The place where victory after victory had been celebrated. The place where conquered species came to kneel before the Emperor. Now it would be the place where Krathul delivered the worst news in Imperial history. The escort ship docked at the military orbital station. Security forces were waiting. They escorted Krathul and his senior officers to the surface, to the Imperial War Complex, to the chamber, where the War Council made their decisions. 17 generals and admirals, the finest military minds in the Imperium, all of them looking at Krathul with anger and disgust. Grand Admiral Thexor stood at the center of the chamber. He was ancient. His scales were almost white with age. He had commanded fleets for 400 years. He had never lost a battle. He had never retreated. He had never failed. And right now, he was furious. Fleet Commander Krathul, you were given 500 warships. 500? More than enough to conquer any world in the galaxy. And you returned with 1 damaged escort vessel and 400 survivors. Explain yourself. Kazul stepped forward. He was exhausted, haunted, but he was still a warrior. He would deliver his report with honor, even if it cost him everything. The humans were not what we expected, he began. Our intelligence was incomplete. We did not know they had been preparing. We did not know what they were capable of. Another council member, Admiral Kresh, interrupted. The humans have no shields, no plasma weapons, no defense grid. Our scouts confirmed this. Are you saying our scouts were wrong? No, the scouts were correct. The humans do not have shields or plasma weapons. They have something else. They have weapons we never imagined. Weapons that make our technology obsolete. The council chamber filled with angry clicking and hissing. Obsolete. The zenith. Impossible. Krathul raised one hand for silence. Then he activated the holographic display. The battle recordings began to play. The council watched. They saw the Xanathi fleet advancing confidently. They saw the threat alarms. They saw the first wave of projectiles. The ships exploding. The shields failing. They saw the quantum missiles appearing from nowhere. They saw the solar beams vaporizing entire warships. They saw 7 minutes and 34 seconds of total destruction. When the recording ended, the chamber was silent. No one spoke. No one moved. They were all thinking the same thing. If this was real, then everything had changed. The Imperium was no longer invincible. For the first time in 3,000 years, they had met someone stronger. Grand Admiral Thexor spoke first. His voice was quiet now, controlled. Show me the human weapons again, the projectiles. Explain how they worked. Krathul brought up the technical data. So Tongods accelerated to 0.3 light speed, using electromagnetic railguns hidden in their asteroid belt. The weapons were fired months before we arrived. They calculated our exact emergence point and aimed accordingly. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons. They cannot stop solid matter at relativistic speeds. The kinetic energy is too great. And the quantum missiles? Admiral Kresh asked. The humans have weaponized quantum superposition. The missiles exist in multiple states simultaneously, until the moment of impact. Our sensors cannot track them. Our shields cannot stop them because they phase through normal space. They only become solid when they strike the target. That is theoretically impossible, said another council member, General Vexar. We have studied quantum mechanics for centuries. Such weaponization cannot be achieved. The humans achieved it. Kazul's voice was firm. And the solar weapon. They built massive mirror arrays between their world and their star. They focus solar radiation into beams. Each beam carries more power than our entire fleet weapons combined. Nothing can survive those beams. Not our shields, not our armor. Nothing. The council members looked at each other. Some were angry. Some were frightened. All of them were struggling to accept what they were hearing. The Xanathi Imperium had built its power on superior technology and perfect tactics. Now they faced an enemy that had made their technology irrelevant. We must strike back, said Admiral Kresh. We cannot let this stand. Send the Grand Armada. 10,000 ships. Even these humans cannot survive that. No. Krathul's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. Everyone turned to stare at him. A fleet commander did not contradict an admiral. Not in the War Council. Not ever. But Krathul did not care about protocol anymore. You do not understand. They were holding back. Holding back? Vexor leaned forward. What do you mean? I accessed their public information networks during the battle. I reviewed their military capabilities. They have weapons they did not use on us. Nuclear devices, anti-adder warheads, biological agents, chemical weapons. They have city-killer bombs and planet-buster missiles. They did not deploy any of them against us. The council fell silent again. Krazel continued. They deliberately chose weapons that would destroy our fleet, but leave survivors. They wanted witnesses. They wanted us to come back here and tell this story. This was not just a military victory. This was a message. Stay away. Do not return. Or next time we will not be merciful. Merciful? Admiral Kresh's voice shook with rage. They killed 94,000 of our warriors. They destroyed 500 ships. And you call that mercy? Yes, because they could have killed us all. They chose not to. They sent us home to warn you. Krathul looked directly at Grand Admiral Thexor. If we send the Grand Armada, it will die too. Maybe it will take them longer. Maybe we will destroy some of their weapons first. But we will lose. And then the Imperium will have lost 11,000 ships to one primitive world. What will that do to our reputation? What will our conquered subjects think when they hear about it? The truth of that statement settled over the chamber like a heavy weight. The Zenith Imperium ruled through fear and respect. Fear of their military might. Respect for their perfect record of victory. If word spread that humans had destroyed a Xanathi fleet, rebellions would start. Conquered worlds would see hope. Rival empires would see weakness. The entire structure of imperial power would begin to crack. What do you suggest? Thexor asked quietly. Peace. Krathul said the word that no Xanathi military commander had ever spoken before in this chamber. We send ambassadors. We open negotiations. We treat them as equals, because whether we like it or not, they are equals now. Maybe more than equals. The War Council debated for 3 days. Some wanted revenge. Some wanted to pretend it never happened. Some wanted to study human weapons and try to copy them. But eventually, wisdom prevailed over pride. The decision was made. The Xanathi Imperium would seek peace with Earth. And Krathul, the failed fleet commander, would be their ambassador. He knew the humans. He had survived them. He could speak to them with the authority of someone who had faced their power and lived. As Krathul left the War Council chamber, he thought about what was coming. First contact. Not as conquerors, not as warriors, but as suppliants, as equals. The Xanathi Imperium would have to learn a new way of dealing with other species. And all because of humans, those strange, creative, dangerous humans who had spent 10,000 years fighting each other and had learned every possible way to win. 1 year after the battle, the galaxy had changed. The battle recordings had leaked. The story had spread. Every spacefaring species in 3 sectors had heard about Earth, about the humans who destroyed a Xanathi fleet in 7 minutes, about the species that weaponized their own star. The story grew with each retelling. Some versions were exaggerated, some were understated, but the core truth remained. Earth was defended. Earth was dangerous. 3 alien empires sent ambassadors to Earth within the first 6 months. The Krellin Unity wanted an alliance against the Xanathi. The Margath Federation wanted to buy human weapons. The Zethian Collective wanted to make sure humans would never turn those weapons on them. Each arrived with gifts and proposals and hope. Each left with more questions than answers. General Sarah Chen met with each ambassador personally. The conversations were always interesting. The aliens could not understand human thinking. They could not understand why Earth did not immediately launch a conquest, why humans did not use their obvious power to dominate others, why they seemed more interested in trade agreements than territory. "We do not want to conquer anyone," Chen explained to each visitor. "We just want to be left alone. We want to trade, we want to learn, we want to explore. But if you threaten us, if you attack us, if you think we are weak, then you will learn what we are truly capable of, and you will not enjoy the lesson." The message was always the same: peace through strength, cooperation through mutual respect. Earth was not interested in empire, but Earth was absolutely committed to survival, and anyone who threatened that survival would face the full weight of human creativity, determination, and excessive preparation. Meanwhile, the battle recordings continued to spread across the galaxy. Engineers studied them, military strategists analyzed them, weapons designers tried to copy them. A galactic arms race began. Every empire wanted railguns. Every fleet wanted quantum missiles. Every world wanted solar arrays. But building such weapons required more than blueprints. It required the kind of creative, competitive chaos that humans had cultivated for millennia. The Xanathi tried first. They built railguns in their military shipyards. The weapons worked, but they were slow to produce, expensive to maintain. The Xanathi had one military doctrine, one approved design, one way of doing things. Humans had thousands of competing designs, each trying to be better than the others. The Xanathi could copy the technology, but they could not copy the culture that created it. 12 months after the battle, Krathul returned to Earth. This time, he came alone. No fleet, no weapons, just one small diplomatic vessel carrying the former fleet commander turned ambassador. He carried a message from the Emperor himself. A formal proposal for peace, a recognition of Earth as a sovereign power, an offer of trade and mutual respect. The meeting took place at the United Nations building in New York. Krathul walked through human streets for the first time. He saw their cities, their people, their normal lives. They did not look like warriors. They looked soft, vulnerable, busy with their daily concerns. But he knew better now. These soft-looking creatures had destroyed his fleet. These vulnerable-seeming beings had weapons that could crack planets. General Chen met him in a conference room. Also present were representatives from major Earth nations, scientists, military officers, politicians, all of them watching the alien ambassador with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "Welcome to Earth," Ambassador Krathul Chen said formally. "We received your message. We are willing to discuss peace." Krathul bowed in the Xanathi manner. His scales had regained some of their color, but his eyes still held the memory of that terrible day. "On behalf of the Xanathi Imperium, I offer formal apologies for our attempted invasion. We underestimated you. We assumed superiority where none existed. We have learned from this mistake, have you?" One of the other human officers, Colonel Jackson, leaned forward. "Because we have been monitoring your space. You have been building weapons, copying our designs. That does not look like peace to us." Krathul clicked his mandibles, a gesture of acknowledgement. "We are building defenses, not for use against you, against others. The galaxy has seen what you did to our fleet. Some species see that as inspiration. They think if humans can defeat Xanathi, perhaps they can too. The Imperium faces threats we have not seen in centuries. We need to adapt good," Chen said. "That is the first honest thing any alien has said to us. You are afraid, not of us specifically, but of what we represent, change. The end of Xanathi dominance, a galaxy where military power alone does not guarantee victory." "Yes," Krathul admitted it freely. "For 3,000 years, we have been the strongest. Now we are not. This is difficult for my people to accept, but accept it we must. The question is, what comes next?" Chen stood and walked to the window. Outside, the city continued its busy life. Millions of humans going about their day, unaware of the historic moment happening in this room. She thought about the past year, the preparations, the fear, the unity that came from facing extinction, and now the opportunity. What comes next is cooperation. She turned back to face the alien. Earth is offering something new, a coalition, not an empire, not a dominion, a partnership of equals. Any species that wants to join can join. Any species that wants to leave can leave. We share technology. We share knowledge. We defend each other, and we establish one simple rule. No conquest, no invasion, no forced submission. Krathazul considered this, and if someone breaks this rule, then they face all of us together. Chen's voice was firm. We have proven we can defend ourselves. Imagine what we could do working together. Imagine what humanity and Xanathi could create if we cooperated instead of fought. Imagine a galaxy where the strong protect the weak rather than exploit them. It was a radical idea. The Xanathi had never considered partnership, only dominance or submission. But Krathul had seen human power. He had felt human mercy, and he understood something his fellow Xanathi were still struggling to grasp. Humans were not cruel conquerors. They were pragmatic survivors. They would make better allies than enemies. I will carry your proposal back to the Emperor, but I must ask why. Why offer this to us? We tried to invade you. We would have conquered your world if we could. Why show us mercy? Why offer partnership? Chen smiled. Because we have been fighting ourselves for 10,000 years. We know what war costs. We know what hate does. We know that yesterday's enemy can be tomorrow's friend. And because, frankly, Ambassador, you are easier to predict than we are. You follow rules. You have honor. You can learn. Those are qualities we can work with. She paused, then added, plus, we have been monitoring deep space. There is something out there, something that concerns us, a new threat. One that might require human creativity and Xanathi discipline working together. We would rather face it as allies than as enemies. Krathul felt a chill. A new threat? Something that concerned humans? The species that had destroyed his fleet. What could possibly worry them? He did not ask. He would learn in time. The meeting lasted 3 more hours. Details were discussed, treaties were drafted, proposals were made. When it ended, Krathul had a data crystal containing Earth's formal offer to the Zen at the Imperium, an offer of peace, of partnership, of a new way forward. As he prepared to leave, Colonel Jackson approached him. He was carrying a bottle of amber liquid. Ambassador, before you go, human tradition. After a battle, warriors share a drink. If they survive, will you drink with us? Kathazul looked at the bottle, then at the humans around him. Warriors who had defeated him, who had shown him mercy, who now offered friendship. He reached out and took the bottle. What is it, whiskey? Jackson grinned. We call it liquid courage, but I think you have shown plenty of courage already. Coming back here, facing us, offering peace. That takes strength. They drank together. The whiskey burned. Krathul's biology was not designed for alcohol, but he appreciated the gesture. The symbolism, former enemies sharing a drink, warriors acknowledging mutual respect. It was very human, and somehow it felt right. 6 months later, the Xanathi Imperium formally joined what humans were calling the Terran Coalition. Other species followed the Krellin Unity, small independent worlds that had been conquered by larger empires and wanted protection. Even some of the rival powers sent observers. The coalition was not large, not yet, but it was growing, and throughout the galaxy, the story of Earth continued to spread. The planet that turned back an empire, the species that weaponized their star, the warriors who fought for survival, not conquest, the humans who proved that there was a better way than endless war and domination. In the coalition headquarters on Earth, General Chen looked at the star maps. So many worlds, so many species, so many potential friends and potential threats. But also, deep in uncharted space, something was moving. Something large, something old, something that had been sleeping but was now waking up. An aide approached her. General, the Xanathi ambassador is here. He says his analysts have detected the same anomaly we have. He wants to discuss a joint research mission. Chen nodded. Send him in and call the science team. If we are going to face whatever that is, we will need everyone working together. Humans and Xanathi, technology and tactics, creativity and discipline.